Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dialogue Dome. How we all doing today? My name is
Hope you're doing
Brendan.
good.
That's Max over there.
Hello, that's
Today
me.
we're
I'm
talking
Max.
about a little bit more of a serious subject, unfortunately,
Yeah,
which I don't like talking
uh,
about
I
these kinds of
agree.
things, but this is something that has to be addressed because
Mm-hmm.
it's just a little ridiculous at this point. It's getting to be a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about the layoff situation that we're seeing across the industry. We're seeing
Yeah,
across multiple
tech,
different,
and video games,
yeah,
and fucking movies and
retail.
shit. Like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane what's happening.
hmm Yeah. It's pretty insane. Um, the most famous one right now,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll just bring up immediately because I feel like it. Uh,
Sure.
um, Bungie a couple of days ago. Bungie, for those of you who do not know, is a company that makes the game Destiny, and they made Halo 1, 2, and 3, and ODST. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that other one, the top-down one, Halo Wars, I think. Yeah. Anyway,
Mm.
Bungie laid off 220 employees a couple days ago, out of the blue, with no warning whatsoever from upper executives.
Insane.
And
Uh,
Bungie just announced that because of that, Destiny is no longer going to receive any expansions going forward. They're just going to
mm-hmm.
release small little content drops to keep people interested in the game and progress the story where they feel like it, which is just so wrong.
I don't.
It's so wrong.
I agree. Like, what even happened? Like, why? I thought the final shape was some of their best work. They
It
got
was. It was
amazing
their
voice
best
talent.
work.
Yeah, it was like
hmm
what even happened? Why? I guess is really the biggest question I've got is like what the fuck are you thinking about, Sony? And it's not just Bungie either. See, that's the other
Yeah.
one that I think pisses me off the most. Is like some of these like really big gaming companies are being closed down or there's so many layoffs and I just don't understand why. And we're not talking like these small little indie people that get picked up or whatever. We're talking like Insomniac, Naughty Dog, Arcane, and Tango was just like shut down, fucking out of the blue. We're
hmm
talking about like so many people who are responsible for so many amazing game titles in the past like few years that are just fucking what gone,
hmm
closed. And I
hmm
don't get it. I don't understand why. Like, what is even happening?
I mean, I'll explain some of this. I mean, it says here on my page that I'm looking at here, 17% of the company for Bungie has now been laid off, which is ridiculous. I mean,
So
it says
crazy.
here now you have to understand laid off doesn't mean that they don't have a job. That's something
Sure.
that a lot of people seem to misconnect or just
Okay.
not connect correctly. Laid off simply means that their position is being let go and no longer exists. And
Okay.
what that means is that in this case, for Bungie is particularly, it says 155 of these roles or employees have moved to Sony Entertainment. So what that means essentially is that 200 out of 220 people, 155 people are moving to a different job
Okay.
within Sony Entertainment. So at least they're not
Okay.
jobless. But
I mean, I guess that makes it a little bit better, but
you have to understand what layoff means. And then, like, it says here 40 or so of those people are forming a new studio under Sony.
okay.
But that still leaves it down to 195. So that means
Yeah.
25 employees lost their jobs completely with
No
no
warning.
warning at all whatsoever,
No
no
foresight.
preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know there's a famous tweet right now. Fuck you, X.
Mhm.
There's a famous tweet right now that's
Mhm.
essentially one of the former devs saying that they were going to go on maternity leave the following week, and they got let go without warning. And it's just like it's an example of that. It's like you're promising these people, like, maternity leave is very important. It's very important for somebody who's pregnant, right?
Absolutely.
You need to be able to have the baby safely while at the same time getting paid. And that's what maternity leave is for. And now this person doesn't have maternity leave.
Exactly.
So,
and also, like, I mean, that's a whole nother topic anyway for the American health system, but like,
oh yeah.
like, still though, like, what even the fuck is going on?
I know.
I'm still on that question. Is like, how did Sony, Xbox, Microsoft, all of these people come to the conclusion that this was a good idea?
Before we get into the reasons that I'm seeing based on this, and we could talk about philosophies of it in a second.
Sure.
I just want to go over numbers because I just want people to know how bad this really
absolutely
is.
Devastating this is.
In January of 2024, so this year, January of this year alone, 6,000 people got laid off in the video game industry alone. 6,000 people. And I'll explain what it is. So, Unity Technology, which makes the Unity game engine, laid off 2,000 people. Whoa. Twitch laid off 500. Playtika laid off 400. Discord laid off 170. In January 22, Riot Games laid off 550. On January 25th, Microsoft laid off 2,000 people. In January 29th, the people who made Deus Ex, called Eidos Montreal, laid off 100 people. That's in 1 month, guys. 1 month. So,
like,
yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, that's in January.
And it just...
Yeah.
And it keeps going. Like, I've got an article here saying PlayStation laying off 900 people and closing their London studio just outright.
Those people do not have a job. Well, they didn't have a job at the time. Who knows if they do now? But
sure.
Yep.
I don't know.
And then
I don't know. It's
Yep. And then in May of this year, Microsoft, after acquiring Bethesda, decided to close down Tango Gameworks, Arcane Austin, Alpha Dog Studio, and merged Roadhouse Studio with ZeniMax.
Fucking hell.
I'm noticing a common trend here. Yeah. Which is that big companies like Microsoft or Xbox and PlayStation acquire these game studios to corner the market, so to speak, and then shut them down completely to put them elsewhere.
It's insane.
Which is not the reason why the companies want to merge. That's never stated. Clearly obvious. It's very obvious that Xbox and PlayStation had some very, very, very different agendas for the studios that they did not say during those merger meetings. Yeah. And simply just did it because they felt like it. I mean,
and I just, like, it's so unfortunate because I don't know. If anything, this is really just driving a wedge between me and those big companies. I don't want to buy products from them if they keep doing stuff like this, because I already know that work is either going to be subpar or they're just doing it for what? A monopoly? That they're trying to create, like, corner the game market so that they are the only people that can distribute video games? Like, fucking guys, competition is what breeds creativity and ingenuity. It's not... We can't live in a world where you're the only one controlling where the water's coming from. Bad analogy. You're not...
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Let's paint a picture with AI about that.
Exactly.
Sorry, I had to. Man. No, like... you bring up a fantastic point, which is, like, one of the things that we talk about here is that, like, I think it's universally understood that Sony Entertainment, PlayStation in particular, PlayStation Studios,
Mm-hmm.
wants to be the only gaming company in the entire market. I think it's
And
universally known as that because of the way their CEOs act.
yeah.
And that mentality is just so wrong to me on so many levels
Mm-hmm.
because we literally have other companies and competitors out there, like you said, so
Mm-hmm.
that the games only get better.
Exactly.
And it amazes me when studios get bought and then get completely shut down right after. Especially this year, it's been really
Mm-hmm.
bad with this. And oof. But then again, also, like, this is not even just like the video game industry. I mean, the video game industry is bad enough, but we also have a
True.
ton and ton and ton of tech-based companies laying off people. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this year alone, it says here that 77,000 people working in tech got laid off this year alone. And that we're only on
Jesus.
month 8. So, not even. We just started month 8.
Mm-hmm. That's insane to me. It's insane that something like this is even happening. And like full disclosure, I don't know what's going on inside the tech and gaming industry as a whole. I don't know what's happening or why. I just it confuses the hell out of me because if anything, this is just making me want to look up more indie developers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh
Yeah.
because like if I wanted some rehashing of Skyrim for like the billionth fucking time, I'd go and play fucking Skyrim. But I don't want
On
that. I
Alexa.
want exactly. But I don't want that. I want something else. I want something fresh. I want something that feels new, something
Yeah.
interesting. For those of you that have been following the channel for a while, we just finished playing uh Still Wakes the Deep, which is an indie title made by a small company that is so fucking good that it's unreal to me that it's not a AAA game because it feels like it. It feels like a AAA game in such a small yet powerful setting. And I don't understand. But like this is also nothing new that has happened. Like when way the fuck back when. Do you remember when Microsoft bought Rare?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, uh,
Banjo and Kazooie.
exactly. All of
Yep.
those guys. And they just ran it into the fucking ground.
Well, Microsoft
Rare
bought.
was.
I was gonna say Microsoft bought Rare, and then they made Sea of Thieves, and that's supposed to be Sea of Thieves is supposed to be Rare's big Xbox game. Like that's supposed to be their
Sure.
big. The reason why that they
Yeah.
merged was because Xbox wanted a pirate MMO, and
Right.
they decided to make Rare have the one do it because of Banjo and
Right.
Kazooie's reputation. And
Sure.
you know, I like Sea of Thieves, but I'm bored of it.
Exactly.
They've
It's not
really, really milked that game.
exactly. And this is coming from a company that is gaming history gold.
Oh
We're
yeah.
talking like 007 GoldenEye. We're talking Banjo and Kazooie. We're talking fucking like some of the biggest games I've ever played as a child. And then Xbox buys them and they're like quiet for 20 years.
Hmm.
They come out with some other stuff, and I'm not counting those other Banjo Kazooie games on Xbox because they were shit. But like, okay, Sea of Thieves was fun for a while, and then it got fucking boring, and
I mean,
it's
it's good
so
now.
unfortunate.
It's still very good. It's just
Sure, some of the storyline stuff is interesting. I like the Pirates of the Caribbean crossover. I thought that was fun, but like as soon as you finish the story, you're just on a boat in the middle of the ocean searching for buried treasure again. Like,
I mean, I think the biggest the biggest thing for me, the thing that got me angry when Bethesda or when Xbox closed down 4 Bethesda studios that they had just bought. One thing for sure, when they announced the merger, they had a huge slide that was it said Xbox and Bethesda, and it had every single major game title that those like 6 studios, now 2 that are open, had made, and they were like, this is the Xbox of the future. And then less than 2 years later, they just shut them down. And like, I want to say that a lot of that is to blame on, like, I can understand like Arcane, for instance. They made Redfall after, so they stopped doing Dishonored, and they did Redfall. Redfall was a complete fucking disaster. It was probably one of the worst games ever made. I will say that to my grave. I played Redfall to completion with my friend Twilight, and we just fucking could not stand it. It was glitchy. It was horrible. It was just, it wouldn't run properly. It was a mess. It was a mess.
Sure.
And then they announced, very shortly after Arcane Studio had released that game, they announced that Xbox was closing that game studio down. Which, to be fair, that one I can understand, because they worked 5 years on this game, and it was awful when it came out.
Right.
That just doesn't justify the opening, you know?
Right. I mean, that's fair, I guess. Like, it's...
But to close the studio down that made Prey, that made to even the one that made The Evil Within. Those are, those 2 examples of iconic games in the industry.
Exactly.
And you shut them down? So you want more games like Prey, you want more games like The Evil Within, you want more games like Dishonored, but you shut them down. Okay.
But you're going to shut down and fire all the people that made those fucking games.
You do you.
Like, I don't fucking know.
And then, like, I also partially blame them shutting those other studios down, maybe to recover from the cost of their Activision Blizzard merger, which, great, but, I mean, the merger was worth $75 billion. Like, that could have gone so much elsewhere.
Right.
That is still, to this day, the biggest game merger in history. The biggest company merger in history was Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, with $75 billion, which is just insane. I mean,
absolutely crazy.
It's crazy. But then, I don't know, it's just, and then I also, like, I saw Bungie's CEO also, like, 2 days before the layoff, bought like $3 million worth of cars. Like, that's the other thing too. Like,
I mean, it's something like silly. That definitely feels a little off, right? Like, what do you need $3 million worth of cars for? I don't know. But that's me, a poor person, talking about rich people like I fucking know what's up.
Yep. I know, right? Yeah, so, like, that's just to give you an example of kind of how bad it is right now. I want to take maybe the rest of the episode to talk a little bit about what's causing it and the morals behind the choices, I guess.
Absolutely.
The ironic thing is that the first thing that I see here on my list of reasons for layoffs, after I talk about a CEO buying $3,000 worth of cars.
3,000? That's not a lot.
Sorry, $3 million. $3 million.
$3 million worth of cars.
Is rising development cost.
You don't say. Like, and I mean, I guess that makes sense. Inflation has been just an absolute bitch these last couple of years.
It's been bad, yeah.
And
But can I be honest? That was
sure.
unavoidable. The world
Oh,
has
absolutely.
the world. Everyone. Okay. Everyone blames. I don't want to get political here, but for the U.S.,
Sure.
everyone blames Joe Biden. It's not
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden. It is the fact that the world just came out of a pandemic. Okay, things
Mm-hmm.
were shut down in some countries for 3+ years. Okay,
Yeah.
and then we have to get back on track the way things were just before, like they were before. And the
Right.
problem is we have nothing. So yeah, higher demand, less
There's going to
time
be a little bit of a hiccup.
means more money in order to
Yeah.
keep things running.
Right. Going to be a little bit of a hiccup, and we're going to have to like ride this wave until that hiccup kind of goes away. Like, I get it.
And we're
It's
getting there.
unfortunate. Exactly. But like I don't know. The whole I, having a CEO, having anybody in the industry anywhere, actors, fucking producers, directors, CEOs, big tech company, whatever's, all of them just buying like what? A Maserati, a Ferrari, a fucking Aston Martin, all of these nice name brand cars for like millions of dollars, huge houses and mansions and all of this other stuff out there. Like I I don't I don't understand why they can't take some of that money and put it in uh towards I don't know, the company or
Mhm.
their livelihood or even like donations, and I'm sure many of them do. But like I don't know. And again, I'm talking as a poor person about rich people. And maybe I'm a little jaded. Maybe I'm a little bitter because they have this really nice thing that I
Well,
want and
to
I
be,
can't have it.
I mean, to be fair, we're all poor and compared to them. Everyone
I
who's
mean,
listening
yeah,
to this
that's fair.
podcast is poor compared to them, right?
I mean, I guess that's fair.
Because it's just like the only famous thing that I can think of is,
Mm-hmm.
the only CEO that I've ever heard to take a pay cut in order to not lay off people was Tim Cook, who is the CEO of Apple.
Mm.
He took a
Mm.
$45 million pay cut this year in order to not lay off people.
Damn.
And that's pretty admirable because it goes
Very.
to show you that he's still getting paid like he was paid
Oh,
$90 million and now he's getting
yeah.
paid 45. But it's pretty admirable to take a very, very 50% of your paycheck that you were
Yeah.
expecting to make and put it
Yeah.
towards the company. I know that the only reason Apple did lay off employees, they laid off around 300 employees. And the reason why
Jesus.
was because, well, no, the reason why was because of the Apple Car project was canceled after 10 years of research, and
Mm.
they didn't have any need for that project anymore. So but
Okay.
here's the thing. Again, the term layoff doesn't mean they lost their job. They laid off
Sure.
300 people and put them elsewhere in
Okay.
the company. So no one lost their job. That's the difference. Nobody lost
Mm.
a job. Like they still had a paycheck. They still had, medical care. They still had health insurance, all that stuff.
Mhm.
They just moved them. So that then those roles were laid off. But that's the only company that I know of that used laid off in the definition of moving other people around and
Sure.
didn't, just fire people. I mean, Apple is the only company that I can think of, which is kind of crazy when you think about
It
how
is
many people
crazy.
have been laid off this year. But at the same time, rising development costs, I can understand
Mhm.
that because of that. I'll also
Sure.
say that
Fine.
another thing on the list, the first thing I think of is that, or the first thing that I can see is that during the COVID pandemic, a lot of companies hired too many people online for remote
Mm.
jobs. And after the pandemic ended, there was no need for those remote jobs anymore. So they were laid off, which I understand
I
because
mean,
it's a remote job.
fair. I guess. I don't know. I have my own thoughts and feelings about the return to brick and mortar buildings. As far as that goes, like I don't necessarily understand that myself. I think if you can have a work from home type job and it works, then there really is no need for brick and mortar. If anything, you're saving money as a company if you just sold that brick and mortar building to anybody else, anything else.
Yeah.
Like we have implemented so many things to make sure that companies are able to work with work from home, and yet many of these companies are so adamant about people coming back to the office, and I just don't understand why. Tradition,
No, it's because they want to micromanage people.
I guess, and
No,
that
that's the only reason.
sucks
I don't give a
ass.
shit what anyone else says. That is the only reason. It is because
Yeah.
bigger CEOs and bigger upper management wants to
Mm-hmm.
micromanage people because they like the power.
Yeah, I mean that's probably it.
Yep.
I I don't know. It is what it is, and like, hey, if you're a big tech company out there listening to this podcast, one, thank you. Hi, how's it going? We would love you to join our Patreon if you would. Just
Yeah.
kind of go check that out for us. But if you're just trying to get people into a building that's costing you way more money than just having them work from home, like, I don't know, maybe reconsider?
Yeah. Really.
I don't know. Like, there
Yeah.
are
You
people
think?
out there that want to work for you and help the company that also just have so many problems trying to get into an office. How much cleaner the air would be if there aren't cars choking the highways.
Yeah. Or the other thing is that, like my cousin works remotely, and
Mhm.
she works remotely because she has 2 kids.
Right.
Things like that. You just sometimes you have
Yeah.
more stuff to do outside of
Mhm.
work. Um the next thing on this list is consumer shift. And what I'm reading by that is essentially that, and I'm actually going to, funny enough, blame Destiny for this.
Yeah.
Um the success of Destiny led to, and Fortnite led to, a
Mm.
significantly higher demand for live service titles. So
Yeah. Okay.
because live service titles make a ton of money. I mean, they do.
I mean,
They
yes, they do.
I
I'm not
mean,
disagreeing with
I
that.
mean, just look at how much money Fortnite has made, Destiny has made. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Not World of
Absolutely.
Warcraft. What's some other games that went live service? Overwatch went live service and made a ton of money.
Mhm.
Um, it's another one. The First Descendant is a recent game that just came out and has made a ton of money because it's a free to play game that is a live service title and
Mhm.
has microtransactions. Um, it's just very interesting to me because, like, there's two trends that happen: live service and battle royale. Those are two
Mhm.
humongous trends that we're seeing in the industry right now, and
Sure.
it requires a lot of people to obtain. So,
Sure.
with that being said, in like 2016 and 2017, it looks to me like a bunch of developers overhired a ton of people with the expectation that they would get the money back from maintaining the game, like battle royale
Mm.
stuff and live
Mhm.
service stuff
Mhm.
with microtransactions. The
Sure.
problem is that every game company started doing it. So now we have so many games with microtransactions and
Exactly.
no one's buying them because there's too many games.
There's too
So
many. It's oversaturated. You want me to buy a subscription to like 15 different games? Sure, okay. It's all like what, $12 a pop, but
Mhm.
15 times 12? Are you fucking kidding me? And I have to pay this monthly. This
Yep. Yep.
There's a reason why artists got so upset at Adobe going to a monthly subscription. and why so many more artists got even more upset at Clip Studio Paint for the same reason. So much so that Clip Studio doesn't do that. They still have it as an option, but you can opt out of it and pay a annual kind of fee just for upkeep,
Mm-hmm.
which is totally fucking fine for me as someone who doesn't use Clip Studio every fucking day of the whole year. Like, I don't,
When Max gets
I
passionate, he skips
don't,
words.
I don't like it. I don't like
Uh,
it. I don't like this blatant greed and disgusting fucking fuck.
greed.
Yes. Whatever it is. I'm losing my words. I have a hard time articulating myself.
Okay. No, but it's true. I mean, like, I get it. It's like, see, here's the thing. There's a trend going around right now, which I am really enjoying, actually, which is
Mm-hmm.
lots of games are becoming free to play, and
Oh yeah,
I am a
absolutely.
huge fan of that. I think that you should continue that if you are a game developer and want to see success in your game. But
Yeah.
the problem with that is that that means that now you have to rely on microtransactions and season
Mm-hmm.
passes.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens and your game isn't successful, then your studio is going to get shut down because you're going to go
Mm-hmm.
bankrupt. So that's what we're seeing a lot of right now is there was a shift to live service titles. Hell, even Sony has been trying to get into live service. You notice that Sony is like the only game developer that doesn't have a live service title. And the reason
That
why
is
is
interesting.
because they have been trying to get it right, and it says that they've been encountering significant challenges and delays as a result in postponement of several live service main titles.
Interesting.
So it's very interesting that because Sony is like the only one that still only has like a buy once and they charge you a lot
Sure.
of money for the game and then that's
Sure,
it,
sure, sure.
you know.
And that's so
But
interesting considering several of the games that they own that already have like a microtransaction element in them as is.
mhm.
I find that interesting that they don't have anything set up right now.
Yeah, I mean they're
But
trying
like,
to clearly.
yeah.
I mean the only one that I can think of is Helldivers 2. I think is the
Mhm.
only one that really has any kind of microtransactional component and it's a live service title. But
Mhm.
again, it just goes to show you just how toxic communities can get very quickly. I mean, Helldivers 2 is a perfect example of this. I mean, that game exploded unexpectedly, and
Sure.
the developers were not ready, and they hired a ton of people, and now they're starting to see a lot of toxic behavior in the community,
Mhm.
and it's just
Mhm.
unfortunate. Um, oh, would you look at that? The next one on the list, mergers.
Yeah, see, and I mean, I don't know. It goes back to this whole idea of like, oh, cool, Microsoft is buying these 6 companies, merging most of them together into like 3 companies or 2 companies, and then what? And then just like we go on with our lives as if you didn't destroy some of like gaming history's biggest players. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't understand how, like, and I mean, like, I'm also not going to be a super puritanical type, oh, we need to make sure that these companies thrive and survive because of their historical significance. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. We preserve buildings for that shit, and even then we don't even do that. But um like I want I don't understand
That's
why it's
crazy.
so
Sorry.
important. Oh, you're good. I just
Sorry.
don't
I
understand
interrupted
why it's
you.
so important to buy all of these companies up just to merge them together or destroy history or like if a company is bad, then you close that company. But if a company is good and you buy them and then merge them with a better company, what does that mean? What does that mean to the company that you just bought? What does it mean for the company that you wanted the name for?
You're gonna love this one. I just
Yeah,
saw. Yeah,
hit me.
apparently yesterday, I didn't know this. Apparently yesterday this was announced. Intel is going to lay
Yeah,
off people. Guess how many?
I was surprised. I don't know, 15,000
Yep.
people.
Yep, you got it.
Fucking really?
15,000 people.
I said a random fucking number out of my ass and I got it right. Okay,
Which is even
first
worse
off,
because that's supposed to be exaggerated.
I know. I exaggerated. I
Yeah.
was trying to be funny, make a joke, and I got the fucking number. Okay, first off, I need to go out and buy a lottery ticket. Holy fucking shit. And two, that's fucking horrible.
15,000 people are being laid off
God
as of yesterday.
damn. I
Fucking
said a crazy number. I said a number that I myself would have thrown up if it was the truth, and it was actually the fucking truth. That's
yeah.
that's
Horrible, isn't it? 1,000 people.
awful.
Yeah, they're the most famous right now for laying off the most people. I know that Google's laying off some stuff too.
Yeah, no,
There's a
I've
comprehensive
heard that
list.
one as well.
Which
Ugh,
is funny to me because 15,000 employees only represents 15% of their workforce. That's crazy how big the company is.
that is crazy. Well, I mean, Intel makes so many fucking computers for
Oh,
so
yeah.
many fucking people.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. What else? Intuit is cutting 2,000 people. You know what Intuit is?
I don't offhand. I've heard that
TurboTax.
before. Oh, those
TurboTax.
fucking guys.
Yep, TurboTax. See here. What else have we got? Just looking at a list here.
Mm-hmm.
VR chat is laying off 30% of its workforce.
Why?
I don't know.
VR chat definitely feels like one of those games, places, companies, Second Life, whatever's that like you don't want to be laying off people. You
Mm-hmm.
need more people, if anything, to monitor all of the goddamn worlds that are out there. Like, it's a as much as I like the game and want to tout its praises and everything, it's kind of a cesspool, and they're laying off moderators and people that can maintain the game. That's I don't know about
Oh,
that one.
yeah. Tesla is apparently going to also lay off 14,000 people.
Mm. I don't love the fact that they're laying off people, but Tesla can, like, it can,
Nah,
it can
Tesla
yeah,
can go fuck itself.
it can, yeah.
Um,
Elon,
yeah.
buddy,
Fuck you.
I liked you
Um,
once. I liked
hmm,
you once, and then you turned into a garbage man. What,
Elon,
what the fuck happened?
Elon
All
Musk is a
right,
moron.
don't
Um,
care if you ban me from your shitty whatever app. It's still Twitter. People still love Twitter. Go fuck yourself.
yeah. Go ahead and sell that back. Um, Apple. Oh, sorry. So Apple laid off 600 employees. Sorry. For the car, um,
Yeah,
project.
damn.
Um, yeah. But again, those people were not like they didn't lose a job. They just
Sure, sure,
moved
sure.
around.
Right.
Um. Oh, Dell. Yeah. Dell lost
Dell is
13,000
still
employees.
Dell is still around?
Oh, Dell is huge. Yeah.
Is it?
Dell is still huge for like big corporations who want a ton of computers quickly.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess that's fair.
Dell makes
And that
tons of
also makes
stuff.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
No,
they're
Dell, I'm serious. Dell has
shit.
well, you're who gives a shit when it's your not your computer, it's your work computer, right?
I guess that's true.
Yeah. Dell and
That's fair.
Dell and HP have cornered the
Yeah.
market with huge corporations. Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah. I'm looking at here. EA threw out 1,000 people.
Oh.
Bumble laid off 400 people. Sony laid off 1,000 people. Um, Cisco laid off 5,000 people.
Uh,
Mozilla, nope, 60. This is bad.
it's very bad. And if anything, this is kind of concerning as far as like a market standpoint goes, because
Oh
like
yeah, Pixar laid off 1,300 people. I forgot about that.
bummer. This is
And
very concerning for a market from a marketing standpoint, because like at some point maybe the market actually does start climbing back up, and then we're going to have to hire people
again,
back. Exactly. And it's this weird like back and forth between uh um hiring and firing people for, I don't know, like I guess that's the whole point in marketing. I was never good at finances. I was never good at in my marketing classes, and I always hated the stock market. But like
I giggle because I am not a big fan of the stock market, but I know how it works. So
I don't even know that much. Like my education system fucking sucked when it came to money.
oh, mine wasn't great either. I
I
learned this all on my own. Yeah, that's something that we need to change in America. Is we need to teach kids about
agreed.
financing.
Oh, agreed. It's awful.
Speaking of which, I just paid off my credit card bill. Thank you for reminding me.
Ah,
Um,
good shit. Glad I could help.
oh my god, this is so weird. For the first, sorry, total random side note. For the
Sure.
first time ever, the first time, like since I got this credit card,
Yeah.
I have my full limit.
Nice.
I haven't had that in a long time.
Good shit.
Mostly because I just use my credit card on things like stupid things. But anyway,
I mean, it's fair. You
not
want the
stupid.
points. You want the miles.
I was gonna
You want
say
all the
it's for the travel.
rewards.
It's for the travel.
Exactly.
Everybody.
It's all
That's
for the
it's
rewards.
But yeah, it's just really sad to see that we've come to this point where it's like all of this could have very easily have been avoided. I feel it's just a lot of it could have been avoided. Like a lot of it's overhiring, and I understand the need to overhire because when you think you're going to be successful, you want to prepare for that, and then when it comes down again, you just you know
Exactly.
you have to let go people. That's just the nature of the industry. And you know, the video games industry especially is not, you know, this is something that people don't seem to understand is that job security with things like movies and TV shows is never concrete. Because once the project is over, then you have to find the next one.
Then you have to find the next project.
The difference with video game companies is that video game companies, you're on a salary. And so you basically are guaranteed job security with a video game company, unless the video game company goes under.
Right.
And even then, a company like Bungie, for instance, or like Tango Gameworks or something like that, those were not financially doing terribly. They were doing great.
Right.
And
exactly.
Sony and Microsoft just decided to close them with no warning. And Bungie was cut significantly with no warning. I know for a fact because I follow a couple of people who worked at Bungie as composers and musicians. There's 5 major composers at Bungie. 4 of them are gone. Now, I guess whatever they want to do next will not contain music.
I guess.
Oh, man.
See, and like, I don't know.
I
The running theory.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Yep. No, go ahead.
Oh,
I was just thinking to myself, like, I have a friend named Adam who works
Yeah.
at Bungie, and I wonder if he was also laid off.
I don't know.
I don't actually.
I think the running theory that I have is that truly they are trying to corner a market that really shouldn't be cornered. Like if you want these games or anything really to be better, there needs to be more companies. There needs to be more competition. We don't necessarily want to flood and oversaturate the market, but like there's a reason why the competition between Warner Brothers and Disney is as powerful as it is. Because like it they play off of each other. They try their best to one up each other, and it's that one upmanship that delivers some really high quality products. Disney more so than Warner Brothers, but that's a different topic. Um and I just don't understand why Sony and Xbox would want to do the same thing. And I mean, Nintendo is whatever Nintendo's doing. They're off in their own little corner, kind of playing nice, I guess, with some of these game companies. But I don't know. I truly think that indie development is going to be the future.
Oh, I agree.
It has to be at this point.
I
Because
agree.
with
Go ahead. No, you go.
oh,
You go. Sorry.
just with huge companies like Xbox and Sony trying their damnedest to have this tight-fisted iron grip on the industry without any sort of wherewithal of what consumers actually want in video games, they're going to struggle, they're going to fall, and they're going to maybe die if they don't fucking figure it out. And it's all of these little indie companies that are going to pop up fucking out of nowhere like the goddamn plague that will recreate the industry in their own twisted yet somehow satisfying image.
Yeah. And it's amazing because with the, like engines like Unreal Engine 5 these days, I mean,
Mhm.
it's so easy now. Well, easy in layman's terms here, but
Right.
it's so much easier for game developers to make a game with something like Unreal Engine 5 because
Exactly.
Unreal Engine 5 already has an entire store of pre-made assets. They already
Mhm.
have an entire database of animations you can use. They already
Mhm.
have tons and tons of environment ideas that you can spring off of and just create your own. I mean, I'm literally not kidding you. There are YouTube videos out there now of people who is like one person
Mhm.
creating a gigantic map of something in 30 minutes. I mean, it's
Mhm.
crazy what you can do with Unreal Engine 5 now, and the animations are all there for you in the engine. It's the most biggest definition that I can think of plug and play that I've ever
Yeah,
seen for a game developer. And
exactly.
if it's so easy for these game developers, like an indie developer, to make really high detailed games very quickly, we're going to see a lot
Mhm.
of really incredible things in the next 10 years
Oh,
just from these small
absolutely.
studios. And imagine what
Absolutely.
if we ever do get to a point where AAA studios stop laying off people, imagine what they can make with the amount of
Mhm.
detail. I mean, the first Descended is a perfect example. That game was only in development for like 3 years, 2 years, and look at how
Mhm.
much detail is in the map. It's insane.
Right? It's crazy. And like I don't know. I think my biggest message to these game companies is like fucking figure it out. Maybe do some surveys with actual gamers and figure out what they want from video games or what they're hoping for. But
Beta testers need to be actual gamers that do not work for the company. You need to
yes.
bring in people, teach them very quickly how to talk in your language. There's a
Mhm.
couple of different things like CC programming and all that stuff. Just
Right.
give them the basics, very, very
Yeah.
big basics, and then have them play test it and see if they like it.
Yeah.
And have them tell you what's wrong and what's not wrong. And then you'll have a
Absolutely.
great game.
Right.
Because if you use people that are from the company play testing the game that you've made for like a year, 2 years, you're not going to
Mhm.
get the feedback you want because those developers know exactly what's wrong.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
There's a fucking reason why movies often have test screenings with test audiences to see if the movie is actually what they want it to be. Why the fuck don't we do the same thing with video games?
Mhm.
Why don't we
Agree.
do that with so many other things? Like
Well, we
it's as
did. It was
if they
called E3, and that's gone
oh,
now.
was that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, well, E3 was there are so many ways to get games out there nowadays in terms of like
Mhm.
advertising that E3 doesn't really need to be a thing anymore. But
No, but I don't know. I mean, COVID was one thing, and that's probably what really brought a lot of these big conventions down. But there's still this like sense of community and camaraderie coming together to
oh
showcase
yeah,
off a bunch of like stuff. So I think we should bring E3 back or E3 adjacent and maybe have more than one
or E4.
because yeah, we'll have E4.
Oh man. All right, we got to end the
um
episode. But
okay.
is there anything else you want to say? Sorry, you conclude what you were thinking.
I don't know. I think that was mostly it. Talk to your people. Talk to your consumers.
Hmm.
Talk to me. I'll answer any fucking question you want, especially if you pay me $1 billion for
I got the smile at the
it.
end. I I think my feelings like this is my feelings is simply just, that layoffs make me sad,
Mhm.
especially when the result is that people don't have a job after. Because there's different forms of layoffs, but the ones that really suck are the ones that just leave people on the street.
Mhm.
And especially when you're like offered maternity leave and then you get let go with
Mhm.
no backup plan.
Right.
It's just be more transparent with your employees. And I would say this too, if any billionaire CEOs are somehow watching this podcast,
Mhm.
fucking take a pay cut. You'll be fine.
Oh,
Okay?
absolutely. Does your house really need another swimming pool? Fuck's sake, guy.
It's all. I'm glad you said guy because it's always a guy. It's never a woman. Anyway,
I know,
um,
right?
moving on. Thank you all so much for watching and listening to this podcast. Max, why don't you go ahead and close this one?
Okay. I I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to say hey, thank you everyone for coming over by to the Dialogue Dome. It's been a real one. It's been fucking insane, and I hope you enjoyed yourself, even though that this was a real bummer of an episode.
It's just a
Don't forget.
sensitive topic. It's not
Oh,
really,
it
you
still
know.
sucks, and I still
It
hate that we
does.
have to even talk about it in the first place.
I know.
Um, But anyway, fucking don't forget to like and subscribe. There's several of you out there that aren't even subscribed to this, which one, how impressive you're able to watch this because we have what, like the 18 plus filters on? You have to be subscribed and you have to have an account to be able to watch our stuff, right? Like so
No.
kudos on you for figuring out how to do any of that.
No.
Oh, that's not how that
No.
works?
No.
Oh. How does
You
that work
just
then?
completely made that up.
I did make that up. Well, fucking whatever. I can make up whatever I want. It's my podcast with Brennan.
What I say
um,
goes.
exactly. It is
So
law
subscribe.
now. That's how it works. So subscribe. I want you here with the subscribe button and the bell icon and all that other stuff. And if you want to throw money at us, because money is always nice, and we could use it to buy better equipment, better cameras, better microphones, better trips
Everything.
to anywhere to do live podcasts somewhere else. Head over to the Patreon and check us out over there. We have exclusive content for
Hmm.
people that like all of these YouTube people. You don't get any of the shit that's over on Patreon because you didn't pay. So if you want to
Uh,
see what all the Patreon people are talking about and people from Patreon, I know you're here from there. Don't tell them. Don't tell them what's over there. They have to go and pay to find out.
it's porn. No, I'm kidding.
That's
Um,
exactly it.
can you imagine? Oh my god. Okay. God,
Anyway,
somebody please mute him. Okay, goodbye,
exactly.
everybody. Have a good night. See
Goodbye.
you later.